Okay, so hopefully we all watched the amazing fight between Chris EUBANK Jr. and Conor Benn, son of Nigel Benn. There is definitely some tension between Chris EUBANK Jr. and his father, Chris EUBANK Sr. Absolutely no doubt. He hasn't been there. We didn't even know if he was going to be there on the night of the fight. Nobody really knew. He said in an interview that he always knew, but I'm not too sure. I'm going to show you a few clips which I think reveal a lot about the nature of their relationship and why there may well be some tension. Now, this fight's been a long time coming, at least 2 years, given the PED controversy from before and all the eggs and all that kind of stuff. Let's see how Chris EUBANK Sr. handles this thing and whether this might give some clues as to the tension between him and his son. I'm going to give you the end bit at the beginning. I think that Chris EUBANK Sr. prefers that aggressive style of Conor Benn. That's what I think. These are the clues, and he said it before, how ferocious Conor Benn is and things like that. And also subtly suggesting that Conor Benn could actually beat his son. So whose side is Chris EUBANK Sr. on? I think this is the crux of it. Okay, now Chris EUBANK Jr. is just about to make his ring entrance. Now where and what are the actions of Chris EUBANK Sr.? Let's see. What's he doing hugging up the enemy? You're just about to go into a fight. Your dad hugging up the guy you're going to fight. Now how's that going to go down? How much does that reveal? Now obviously Chris EUBANK Sr. and Conor Benn and Nigel Benn know each other from before, and they may well be friends. But they're not friends now. At the end of the fight, you may well be friends in the same way that Chris EUBANK Jr. is not going to be hugging up Conor Benn or vice versa. No. Chris EUBANK Sr. No. Now, you might want to hug up Nigel Benn and show there's no animosity, but right now, his son is the enemy. Not a real enemy, but his son is the enemy for a couple of minutes. Do you agree or don't you agree? And if that was your dad hugging up the enemy before the fight, again, only the enemy for the fight, and afterwards you can hug and whatever. Before the fight, if your dad is going to hug up and encourage that other side, how is that going to go down with you? Unless he's just playing mind games with Conor Benn to try and take him out of the zone, because Conor Benn's in there to destroy right now, just before the fight starts. And if you looked at his face, he had a lot of tension going on, a lot of anxiety, and he came out like a raging bull, just throwing haymakers. I swear, if he'd have connected with any of those punches, Chris EUBANK Jr. would only be just be coming down to the earth now. Nigel Benn just handled that perfectly. Nigel Benn just handled that perfectly. It was like tap on the shoulder. It could have been anybody. Happened to be Nigel Benn. Perfect. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. Let's go back to how Chris EUBANK Sr. is handling it with Nigel Benn's son, Conor Benn, aka the enemy right now. Still the enemy. We don't even know who's won the fight yet. So why are you hyping up the other guy? Wow. Anyway, let's go. Has EUBANK Sr. crossed the line? If that was your dad and you just come out of a fight and just after bell, you're kind of charging up the other guy, whilst the judges haven't even had to do their scores yet. My gosh, we don't even know which way it's going to go. Which way does EUBANK Sr. think it's gone right now? The way that he's going on. That's the last thing. Let's just say if EUBANK Jr. would have lost and he thinks, well, yeah, because if the judges were a little bit unsure, then maybe they might have tipped it Conor Benn's way. They shouldn't have because they've already logged their scores. But, you know, things happen. Disgusting. But I say it does reveal a lot, I think, about their relationship. And EUBANK Sr., I'm drawing this line. I'm letting you know where I am on this thing, and that's why I did this video. I think you are bang out of order, and you owe your son an apology, and you should be vaulting him up. If you can't get him on your shoulders, you make it absolutely clear which side of that camp you are. Tap him on the shoulder, Conor Benn. Well done. You got to the end. AKA, I still think you lost. Well done. You survived the brutal beating of my son. That's where we should come from, you know, still all friends. My son has just given you a beating, we're going to win, right? Not what happened there. We're going to skip forwards to the end of the fight. Another very revealing interview between Chris EUBANK Sr. We look at the actions of Chris EUBANK Jr. at the same time, and look again what Chris EUBANK Sr. says.
I underestimated him. You know, I didn't train for a fight like that. You know, I didn't know he had that in him. He's never shown that. But then again, he's never had to show it. He had to show it tonight. And so did I.
Hang tight, Chris, because we are going to come back to you, of course. I do want to grab a word with your father. Chris, how special was that? As I said to Chris, we weren't sure if we would see you tonight, but my obvious question is, how proud are you of your son watching that from ringside?
Listen, I mean, he couldn't move around the ring, and so he had to stand toe-to-toe. I mean, that is legendary behavior in the ring. Legendary. And this Conor Benn, as I said, Conor Benn is an extraordinary fighter. You know, he's gone...
Listen, I'm going to pause and rewind again. Look at what Chris Eubank Jr. was going to do. Riddle me that. How badly did he want that drink, or did he just want to separate himself from his father for reasons that we don't really know outside of the ring? But it might have been connected to what we saw a little bit earlier in the ring. Then how quickly, in the praise of his son, who's actually just won that fight, you know what I mean, for the family honour and everything, is Chris Eubank Sr. talking about the other guy. Imagine if that is your dad. And I'm not criticising Eubank Sr. I'm just breaking down the tensions which is, for me, evident in that relationship and what might be at the source of it. And again, for me, I don't know these guys. And I'm not saying that Chris Eubank Sr. doesn't love and admire his son, but I just think as a boxer and as a boxing fan, he's going to love the aggression from a Conor Benn. Win or lose, and it's that kind of thing that you will respect from a fighter. You know what I mean? You can either the outcomes that you want, obviously your lineage, your son to win, but what you respect is that pure aggression. That's what he likes. Let's see how he handles that again.
How special was that? As I said to Chris, we weren't sure if we would see you tonight, but my obvious question is, how proud are you of your son watching that from ringside?
Listen, I mean, he couldn't move around the ring, and so he had to stand toe-to-toe. I mean, that is legendary behavior in the ring. Legendary. And this Conor Benn, as I said, Conor Benn is an extraordinary fighter. You know, he's gone pear-shaped somewhere, but an extraordinary fighter. And you saw that here tonight. He wanted to tear, and I thought he would blow out in maybe 4 or 5 rounds. He's going strong. He's going strong right the way through the fight. I am so proud of him. That's my son. That's right. That's why I'm here. I was always going to be here. That's right. Rastafari.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Rastafari, indeed. Awesome. Of course, we don't know. It's all guesswork. Let me know your thoughts. How would you feel about the entrance with your dad going to congratulate the other side, aka the opponent that's coming to punch you in a few moments? Let me know how you would feel about your dad in this circumstance. If very early into praising you, he ends up praising the other guy again. And there's a definite theme there. Let me know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts.